Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the Back to School series. Today I'm going to talk about classes. I'm going to talk about what not to do in class and what to do in class. Before I do that, I do want to thank you guys for the love that you've been giving me on yesterday's video. Really appreciate it. I didn't know that so many people would enjoy it, and granted, this is my real life story and I am sort of scarred for life. It's fun that people can, get humor out of it. So, yay for that. What I want to talk about, like I mentioned, is class. In high school in particular, these are things that I did or didn't do in high school that I mostly did. And some I didn't do. Things not to do in class. Sit in the back of the class after you had a late night on Facebook or MySpace or whatever the time was. For me, it was MySpace. Because you're so tired from that late night, you will get called on by the teacher. You're trying to be inconspicuous, but you make yourself more visible to the teacher and you get called out. It happens. Never fails. So don't sit in the back of the class. But point 2, don't sit in the front of the class, because now you're overeager. And now either you're that student in the class that everybody hates that always wants to raise his or her hand because he or she knows the answer. Or you're trying to prove the teacher wrong and act like you're not tired and act like you are paying attention by sitting in the front, even though you are tired and you aren't paying attention and you're this close to falling asleep. It's not going to bode well for you either way. So a good medium, point number 3, sit in maybe the middle. I say a solid 3rd row. A couple of seats off from the center of the room would be ideal. You're in the line of sight of the teacher. You're not off in the peripheral, or you're not off in the back, or you're not really up close to the front. That's a good, comfortable spot, in my opinion. It's worked for me. Because my teachers typically ignored me if I was in the middle. It's always the back of the class or the front of the class that gets the most attention from my experience. When I was in school. Remember, this is my experience. Do not pass notes in class, you guys. Okay, when I was in high school, yeah, I had a cell phone, but I didn't really use it. So texting is, I guess, the thing to do nowadays, but even that. Yeah, passing notes in class, not the best thing to do, especially 1, if you get caught by the teacher, which never happened for me, fortunately, or 2, if you pass it to somebody who isn't the most trustworthy person. Remember my previous story in my first video about, go see the first video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, passing notes. It could be a scarring experience for you. It scarred me for the rest of my high school career. So passing notes, not the best look. So, nah. Whispering in class. Don't whisper in class. A lot of times people think that they're whispering when they're really not. It's just a really hushed talking. Hey, do you know the answer to number 2? Did you see last night's Breaking Bad? You're not whispering. That's not a whisper. As a matter of fact, it's more annoying to whisper than it is to talk normally. And there's something about whispering that annoys me. I hate it when people whisper. I just hate it. Just don't whisper. You're gonna be heard if you whisper and paid attention to more if you whisper. It's like you're drawing attention to yourself if you whisper versus just saying what you have to say, especially if it's to the person next to you. Not advocating talking in class, but your students, you talk in class, it just happens. But yeah, whispering in class, just don't do it. It's very annoying to the person in front of you, behind you, next to you, whoever you're talking to. There's just something about whispering that just grates my nerves. Is that weird? And then a side note to that, even when you think you're whispering, you got a good whisper, like you have the perfect pitch and the perfect tone. There's something about teachers, they can always hear the whisper. They can always hear it. I don't understand how they can always hear it. You may not be able to hear me right now. Don't turn up your speakers. I'm kidding. What I said was teachers can always hear the whisper. I don't understand like, do teachers go to training for this kind of thing? They have like razor sharp listening skills. They can always hear the whisper. So yeah. Things to do in class. Take notes in class. For the love of all that is amazing, take notes in class. You have no idea how many times my teachers have uttered open note quiz or open note test, and this special person never took notes. So I would always be the one whispering or glancing over to the side trying to peek at somebody's notes so I could at least get one answer right on the quiz. Be more assertive in group projects, during group projects. I don't know about you, but I was always the one to end up doing all of the work for the group projects, and I hated it, and I never spoke up, mainly because if I let all these other people help me on the group project, they're not going to do a good job as I would. That was my opinion. But I put so much, pressure on myself to do this and get the A for the group that it turned into an individual project instead of the group project. So I needed to be more assertive and designate, because I was typically always the group leader. I don't know why that was. I never wanted to be the group leader, but I always was. And designate projects for people to do, and then actually check in to make sure those projects were getting done. That's kind of what being the leader is. It's delegating and monitoring. But in high school, being the group leader meant doing the project. So being more assertive in group projects is something that I needed to do, and hope that you do as well if you weren't already doing it. Don't be bossy, but be a leader. When writing papers, draft those things up early. I understand waiting to actually write the final draft, but at least have an idea of what you want to write prior to the night before it's due. I understand the whole I work best under pressure thing. That was my motto in high school and college, but I work best under pressure typically for me only worked when I had an idea of what I was writing, and I would always wait until the night before to get my idea and to write the damn thing. So yeah, at least having an idea prior to actually writing the stuff, the paper, helps quite a bit actually. And then lastly, engaging with your teachers, actually talking to your teachers and treating them like people and not authoritarians. Of course, you're going to have those teachers that just aren't, approachable. They are just there to teach you what you need to know and then be out of there and be on their way. And if you come across those teachers and you have teachers like that, I am sorry. I'm very sorry, and I hope they're at least teaching you quality stuff. But for me, I like to be engaged. I like to know the person that I was learning from. So I would always hang out with my teachers. Yes, I was that person. I would always have conversations before and after school with my teachers, before and after class. Some of my teachers from high school and college are still people that I talk to today, which is really, really cool. Here's the weird thing that you may not know, you guys. Teachers are people too. I know, right? Like, who knew that? They're not Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones. They have first names. They're people too, and they have feelings, and they have bad days, and they have good days. So it was fun to learn that about them because they became more human to me. Teachers are not the spawn of the devil. Well, most of them aren't. They are there to help you, and if they're not there to help you, speak up. Tell somebody that you are not learning. Tell the teacher you're not learning from them. You're not grasping the concept. Tell the principal. Tell whomever. Be vocal about your education. And here's where I get on my soapbox, and here's where I get really, really spirited, because I do have a master's of education. I studied education in kindergarten, K through 12 curriculum, and all of that. That's where my expertise is in. And I just feel very passionate about that. I feel like students need to take hold of their education, take responsibility for how and what you learn. Yes, the teachers are there to teach you, but you are also there to help them get better as teachers. If you're not understanding something and if you're not learning something, be vocal about it and let them know that. Don't be passive with your education, because you only get one unless you fail, and then you have to go back and repeat a grade. Off of my soapbox. So that is it. This one wasn't as funny as my first video. It really wasn't intended to be. It was actually meant to actually help you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up if you did. Comment down below if you have anything to say about what I said. I really hope you do. Yeah, go to school, get an education, have fun, go crazy, not too crazy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.